Other things that were happening in this time, and again, this would have been in the 90s or so, was this whole influence of procurement. As I mentioned earlier, fleets of that era, that's what they did. They were fleet departments. They bought and sold their vehicles on their own, working with individual dealers, and that was another big segment in the industry that's kind of dwindled. But these fleet managers would be dealing with the dealers, buying vehicles and having them shipped around the country to their drivers if they were a nationally dispersed fleet. What was happening simultaneously with that is the procurement and outsourcing departments within companies were starting to grow. And I wrote an article on this, if you can research it on the web, but it was the emergence of strategic sourcing. And it's kind of like a buzzword now, but back then, strategic sourcing was a major trend that was occurring in corporate America, and fleet was kind of getting wrapped up into that. And it had already happened in Europe. In that time frame, when you looked at European fleet managers who were managing fleets, invariably they reported up through procurement. So that whole area there was a major change in the industry. And again, it had some consternation among longtime fleet managers. Again, they saw that as a potential threat. Suppliers, they saw, what used to be relationship selling. With the advent of strategic sourcing, it was more of a commodity type selling. And that was kind of a major adjustment that was going on at the time. Some of that was overblown in terms of its concerns and so on. But prior to the emergence of procurement strategic sourcing, fleet managers were the kings and queens of their realm. They were the ones that, the fleet suppliers would be going to cut these deals. Now, all of a sudden, you had these sourcing committees, procurement committees that were coming into play. And it was, instead of an individual decision based on a relationship that you might have had a long time with a fleet manager, now it was done through a committee. And that was a big change that was happening in the industry. And that did not happen overnight. These were, things that were evolving over the decade. So, as I mentioned, in the very beginning, fleet isn't the center of the universe, but it is managing assets for a corporation.